So you've run out of space, your hard drive has died, or you're just planning for the future. No matter what the reason is, it's time to buy a hard drive. So what's the best external hard drive for video editors? Today, I'm going to be covering this. The LaCie 2big 8TB Thunderbolt 3 dock. And yeah, I had to think about all the words in that. So in this video, I'm going to be answering the question, what's in the box, as well as what the specs are, what I love about it, what I don't necessarily love about it, and then, of course, why I bought it. Before we do, my name's Ray. I help out creative entrepreneurs. Consider subscribing if you're not already, because, we could use more company. Follow me on social media, and now, let's look at this thing. So there are a lot of different things that you can buy used or refurbished to help save a little bit of money, like cars, TVs, underwear. Just kidding. But when it comes to hard drives, you want to treat it like a toothbrush. Always go new. Just don't rinse it off in the sink or put toothpaste on it, because it probably won't work the way you expect it to afterwards. When I decided to buy this drive, I searched up and down and really just everywhere trying to find the best deal that I possibly could. The one that I purchased actually came with this extra 2TB rugged external hard drive. Why am I struggling trying to say this stuff right now? Extra 2TB rugged external hard drive for free. And actually ended up costing even less than some of the other models out there. Marginally. So to save you all the hard work, I'm going to leave a link for you down in the description. So what's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Let me show you. So this is the box. This is styrofoam. Came with one Thunderbolt 3 cable. Came with a USB-A to USB-C USB 3.0 cable. A bunch of plugs for countries that I would love to visit one day. A big ass dock with 2 hard drives inside, which actually comes pre-configured up to 32 gigabytes. This is the 8 gigabyte version. And then it comes with a few software licenses as well, like Genie Backup Manager Pro 9, Intego Backup Manager Pro, and 1 month to Adobe Creative Cloud. Out of the box, this comes pre-formatted to Apple's HFS Plus file system, so if you're not driving a Bentley, you're going to want to download LaCie's software to reformat it to NTFS so you can use it with Windows. And then, of course, there is a 5-year warranty on this, so should something happen, I'm not really worried about it. You've got a backup. It's not as much fun though, Alright, cool. So looking at this bad boy, on the back here we have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. We have a USB 3.1 USB-C port. We have a display port, and then we have a power adapter port. And then we have a power button right here, which if you just tap it once, will power down the device, but it's going to leave everything that's connected to it still powered on. So it's kind of like a power saving mode. If you hold it down, it will power the device off. On the front, you have a slot for a USB-A plug. You have one for compact flash, where you can plug in compact flash media, because, and one for SD. On the front of the hard drive, you're going to notice 2 different doors, which you can use to exchange the different hard drives. In here, we have an Iron Wolf 7200 RPM 4TB drive. There's actually 2 of them in here. Because it's hot swappable, you can change it out at any time without having an issue. However, I would not want to use the hot swap on this because I run this in RAID 0, which means files are split up between the 2 different drives to speed up the entire process, and that would corrupt files and ultimately make my life a living hell. So we're not going to do that. Ultimately, what I love about this drive is the dock. I know I bought it for the hard drive, but the actual dock on here is really what drove me to it. Now, LaCie has bigger hard drives. They have a 6big and they have a 12big, which is 6 and 12 hard drives respectively, which sure is going to be a bit faster, but there's no dock on those. Even if you plan on getting the 6big or the 12big, I would still encourage getting this simply because it has a dock on it. Not only that, it's going to be extra storage as well. You can get the 2big with 32 gigabyte. Have I been saying gigabytes the whole time? You can get the 2big in 32 terabytes. I went with the 8 because it was a bit more affordable. For example, on my laptop right here, I have one USB-A here, one Thunderbolt 3 here, and one USB-A here, as well as an SD slot. And once I use this Thunderbolt 3 port, like, that's it. Whereas with this, there's two. And Thunderbolt 3 is really cool where you can daisy chain up to 6 different devices together. Not only that, it gives me an extra USB port. It gives me an extra SD slot, so I can read from 2 different SD cards at once. I don't have to completely offload all my media off of one in order to be able to just reuse the card. I can use multiple cards at the same time, long story short. What if I get a camera that takes compact flash media? Well, I'm covered there. What if I get a monitor that takes DisplayPort, which I plan on doing in the future? Well, it has me covered there too, so yeah, that's the biggest reason why I chose LaCie's 2big over choosing pretty much anything else. Another thing I really love about this is the speed. So this can transfer files up to 440 megabytes per second. Obviously, if you have more hard drives running in RAID 0, it's going to be a bit faster, but for what I do, this is perfect. Not only that, it's going to be expandable, so I can always upgrade these hard drives if I need to. One of the things that I don't really love about it is that it likes to go to sleep a lot. So if I'm editing something in DaVinci Resolve and I'm going from something that's cached to something that's not cached and it needs to access the media on the hard drive, I need to wait for the hard drive to spin up in order to access that media, which takes about 5 seconds. I feel like that's a little bit too long to really have to wait to access my media, especially because I'm just really impatient most of the time. If you're not actively using it, it will go to sleep, so it is a little annoying. Another thing that I found out the hard way, because I don't like to read the manuals, is that you can't use USB-C and Thunderbolt 3 at the same time, so you kind of have to pick one. And obviously I'm going to go with Thunderbolt 3, but just kind of thought that was a downer because I would have loved to have been able to connect an extra device to it without having to buy a USB hub. So another thing that I don't really love, this is something that I didn't really know about before actually getting this device. This isn't really a fault of LaCie, it's just Thunderbolt in general. It's very expensive to make these cables. I believe this is about 18 inches long. And if you are able to find a cable that is longer, it's going to be more expensive if it's going to work over a longer distance. Most of the cables that you find are going to be about 18 inches long. This is going to be for all Thunderbolt 3 devices and not just this hard drive. As you can tell, it is fairly limiting. On the other hand, Apple does make a 2-meter Thunderbolt 3 cable, so, you know, if you want to invest in that, I would encourage it, especially if you want your computer to be a little bit further from your hard drive while you're trying to work on it, especially because I do a lot of editing videos. If I have my laptop here and the microphone's here and it's picking up over here, it's just, everything's just crammed together. I like to spread out a little bit, you know, just gotta relax. Obviously, because this is made by Apple, we all know it's going to be very expensive. On that note, however, if you're like me and you like to purchase cheaper cables, and this is probably an area where I would encourage you to maybe reconsider that. There are cheaper cables available on Amazon. However, what I've found is that these cables don't perform as stated in a lot of cases. So sure, you could drop $20 on a 2-meter cable, but that doesn't mean it's gonna work. In my case, I decided to play it safe and I did invest in Apple. Another thing though that I found out the hard way is that this thing isn't powerful enough to charge my laptop over Thunderbolt 3, which is kind of disappointing. I'm probably nitpicking though, and you know, it's more out of convenience than anything else, because seriously, it's an extra cable I have to plug into my laptop. Come on. It's really not that big of a deal though. Just would have been nice. It's a little bit noisy. It's not terribly noisy. It's not like a jet engine. Like, my GPU fan is definitely a lot louder. This, I mean, it's nothing that Fairlight can't remove with a little bit of noise removal. So, overall, not too bad. So why did I decide to get the LaCie 2big 8TB Thunderbolt? So why did I decide to get this device? There's actually 2 different reasons. First one is that I needed more hard drive space. As a video editor, yes, it's very important to have a solid state drive in your computer. For cached media and things like that, it's going to be super quick. But when you don't need solid state speeds and you're just working on storage, this is the way that I would go. It is fast enough to access on the fly, so even though I don't need 2400 megabytes per second with a lot of the editing that I'm doing, I can do it, but you know, the 440, it's gonna work for me. Side note, however, don't try to decompress any files while they're on the hard drive. So if you have files that are zipped, don't unzip them on the hard drive, unzip them on your computer, and then put them on the hard drive, because it's gonna take like 10 times longer. Trust me. So reason number 2 is actually the dock. Yeah, I know, it's probably more novelty than anything else, but the actual dock that's built into this thing, it's huge. My laptop doesn't have a lot of extra ports, so adding anything extra onto the laptop is really awesome. Unfortunately, Dell kind of screwed me there, because this past version, not only did they come out with a better GPU, but they also came out with more Thunderbolt ports. What are you gonna do? Now, if you don't have Thunderbolt 3, you can still use this with your computer with the included cables. I don't feel like just because it's Thunderbolt 3 that you can't get this device. Like, you totally can, and it's gonna future-proof, which is actually reason number 3, because I told you there were 2 reasons. There's actually 3 reasons. Future-proofing, really. When I build a new computer, I'm gonna be able to connect this to it and not have to worry about having to get an SD card reader for it or anything else that's like slightly annoying. So I definitely say that's worth it. As I stated before, I am going to leave a link to this down in the description below. What kind of hard drive are you using right now? Have you been looking into any? I want to know about it down in the description below. Is there something that you feel like is going to be better than this? Of course I want to hear about it, because why not? Bigger, better, whatever. Smash that like button if you got value out of this. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and until next time, I'll catch you later.